Hello everyone, I'm MVL, and in this video we're going to take a look at 5 more expensive games in my collection. This is actually a follow-up from a video I previously did on my channel, which you can check out, of 5 expensive games in my collection. This is a part 2, if you will, and we're going to check out 5 more expensive games in my collection. Now, from the get-go, I want to say that I don't actively go out and try and buy expensive games. These are 5 games I picked up on the cheap, which turned out to be expensive, and it's actually quite surprising. I don't actively go after games like Shantae, which are incredibly expensive. Oh, this is actually the limited run official reproduction of Shantae, not nearly as expensive as the original copy. But I digress. Without further ado, let's check out 5 expensive games in my collection. And first up we have Golden Axe Warrior on the Sega Master System. So first of all, this game is really awesome. It's a top-down adventure game, much like The Legend of Zelda, but it is of the Golden Axe franchise. And the reason this game is so expensive and actually so sought after is, as well as being expensive, it is actually quite rare. Often those things don't go hand in hand. Sometimes a game is rare but inexpensive, and sometimes a game is expensive but rather common and actually easy to find online. And this game is rare and expensive. I picked this game up very cheap because of the condition it's in, and I picked it up locally and I was very lucky to find it. But this game is very expensive, and one of the reasons for that, like I mentioned, is this game is actually quite rare. Whereas a lot of games that are retro games were often released in Japan and never found their way to the West overseas, this game is the opposite of that, where it came out in the West but it did not come out in Japan. Now, the Sega Master System did well in Japan, but it did not do that great overseas in the West. Now, it did do quite well in certain areas of Europe, but overall it did pretty badly, and as a result, this game, there weren't many copies out there, and this is considered one of the rarest and most sought after games on the Sega Master System. So how much does this game go for? Well, my copy is a little beat up. As you can see, it's got a kind of cutaway on the front cover inlay here, which is actually on both sides for whatever reason. And I think this is because this might have been a rental or a library copy, and it might have been marked for that reason to distinguish it from a regular copy. That's my thought anyway. I'm not exactly sure why that happened. And I also have no manual in here, just a loose cartridge, but still the game is awesome and I can play it, which is sweet. And so I did get a significant discount when I picked this up. I got this really cheap, and I would not pay the going price for this, which complete in box is around about £300, which is astonishing and very surprising when I found that out. And I do not believe this game or any game is worth that amount of money. If you can find this game cheap, definitely pick it up. It is really good, but £300 for a complete in-box copy? Man, that is a lot. But anyway, Golden Axe Warrior is an awesome game. Check it out if you can. And yeah, this is a pretty sweet game, but an expensive game nonetheless. A good game to start us off with. Next up, we have another Sega Master System game, and that is Power Strike on the Master System. This is a shoot-'em-up game, and it is an awesome game, and it is quite rare for the same reasons as the previous game, and that is largely due to availability. This game is quite sought after, and it's really good. Now, this game, complete in box, goes for around about £150, which is quite a scary amount, but the sequel to this game, Power Strike 2, is even more expensive than that on the Master System, and this is a PAL European copy of this game, and there's actually an even rarer version of this game that is the US version, and that is because it was a mail-away only copy, and that is easily distinguishable because the cover art is completely black and white, or blue and white I should say, and it is completely different to this cover art. But this game is amazing. It's certainly a game you should check out if you can find it cheap. It's a shoot-'em-up game, and it's an awesome looking game. Games on the Master System are often so colourful and so vibrant and so great that you forget they're 8-bit games, and you actually sometimes might think they are 16-bit games. They look that good. This is an amazing game. I recommend checking it out if you get the chance. Power Strike on the Master System. Another expensive game, but also a good game as well. Next up, we have a game on the PlayStation 2, which is crazy to think that this game is fairly expensive, and it was a surprise for me when I found out. And that game is Steambot Chronicles on the PlayStation 2. So despite being a much more modern game, this game still commands quite a high price. This is a role-playing game where you also get to do a lot of mech action, and there's a bunch of fun mini-games in this game as well. This is another example of an expensive game, fairly expensive that is actually very fun and very good as well. So I think that goes to determine the price of this game and why it's quite sought after as well, because this game is really fun and I do recommend picking this one up. And this one's going to sting your wallet a little bit less than the previous Master System games I have talked about. This game, if you want to get it complete, goes for around about £150 if you get it in really good condition. I was lucky enough to get it far cheaper than that when I picked it up, but this game is still really awesome and I recommend checking it out. If you're a big fan of RPGs, you like mechs, and you like a lot of minigames and that sort of thing, this game will be right up your alley, and that's Steambot Chronicles on the PlayStation 2. Next up, we have another quite surprising game because it's on another more modern system, and that is Sola Turobo Red the Hunter on the DS. It's another mech-based RPG, this time on the Nintendo DS handheld system, and you get to play as a furry character exploring a world of adventure. And once again, this game is really fun. Now, this game was released everywhere, so I'm not quite sure why this game is so valuable. Maybe it's because it's just really good. This particular version is actually an Australian version, which is why it has the PAL artwork, but the American style case. So it's a bit weird to see this, but this is an Australian version. Now, in the PAL region, this goes for around about £150, but it could go for around about twice that much if you were to go for the American copy, which also includes a soundtrack as well. This, again, is a really fun game. It has a really unique battle system in this game where you throw enemies to damage them and you can throw them into other enemies as well. So this is a really good game, and it's a shame that a lot of fun games do become quite expensive, especially more modern games like this where there are a lot of copies of them out there, because you can easily find this game online, and if you are diligent enough you can definitely find this game at a lot cheaper than the price I just mentioned. So I do recommend checking this out. Sola Turobo is a fantastic game on the DS and it's a lot of fun, so I recommend checking that out. That's Sola Turobo Red the Hunter on the DS. And finally we have another modern game, and itself, it wouldn't be that expensive except for this particular version, and that is Rodea The Sky Soldier on the Wii U. Now, this game has quite an interesting story behind it, and I will also say that it is only this particular version of the game with all of the extras included that I have that is expensive. You can grab a regular Wii U copy of this game for a much more inexpensive price. As you can see here, this sticker denotes this includes a bonus game. This includes two games, well, two versions of the same game on different systems. This game was originally developed for the Wii by one company, and it actually got pretty much completed until they shift focus and a different company made a different version of that. It was released for the 3DS, and then eventually a version of the game was released for the Wii U. But they did release a version of both of those games released as a special edition for the Wii U, including the Wii version. This actually has a reversible cover that you can put a Wii U or a Wii cover on it. So it might look a bit weird here having the Wii cover, which I actually prefer, with the blue box or the blue case for the Wii U. Now, the versions of the games have completely different graphics. The graphical style is very different, and there are different control and different parts of the game for each game, with the Wii one using, for the most part, the Wiimote controls, and the Wii U using the gamepad controls. So it's incredibly interesting that there are two different versions here, and most parties seem to say that the Wii version is the better game, the originally developed version. The way the power-ups work is different between both games, and there are different sections to the games as well. So it's actually really interesting and really cool that they released both versions. Now, this does, like I mentioned, contain two games. It also has a big manual in there, which is really cool. So you've got the Wii U version there and the Wii version as well. But as well as that, for this to be an expensive game, I have the special or limited edition package right here. Now, this includes a bunch of extras right here, but the main thing that is often left out is this bonus keyring right here, or necklace, the key to time, I should say. And this particular item is probably the hardest thing to find. And as you can see, I still have that sealed, this necklace right here. I also have the soundtrack CD right here, which is pretty awesome. The Rodea Access Memories, as it says on the back. And there is an art book right here as well. So very cool. There's a lot of awesome extras included in this package. The included art book looks absolutely amazing. Some of the art in here is really awesome. And this is the kind of inclusion that I really like seeing in these special editions. And all in all, with all of the extras, especially including the key to time, this ends up being about £150 for this particular version of the game. And like I mentioned, you can get a cheaper version of this if you just go for the standard Wii U package, but it does seem to be that the consensus is that the Wii version is the game that everyone wants to play, and I think that is partially why this version is more expensive. And then on top of that, you add all of the extras for the limited edition, and that's why it commands a higher price. So there you go. Those are 5 more expensive games in my collection. Did you recently find out some of your games are more expensive than you thought, and you were shocked and surprised like I am? Let me know in the comments. And if you like the video, please leave a like, that really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.